Sherry Schreiner. A couple things I want to talk about. It's been a really long day for me, and so started early, and it's just been that kind of a week. It's going to be that kind of a week following a long weekend. But one of the things I want to talk about tonight is that I don't even know where to start. It's just one of those shows. Everyone's going to think I'm crazy and I've lost another marble. But that's the way all my shows pretty much are. So I know I only speak to a minority handful of people out there. And that can get pretty discouraging, but when you put things into perspective, I don't know what else to do. But I have to go ahead and just do what I do. Despite the fact I have so many haters and being so suppressed by the media and everybody else. I was talking to the father this morning. Actually, he contacted me as I was sitting here. And he was telling me that Lilith was going to be released. And if you've been paying attention to my ministry, over the years I've stood up as an ambassador for the Most High here on earth. And so I deal with everything and everyone. Literally just about anything on the spectrum that the Father wants me to deal with, I deal with. And I did a video, released it not too long ago, on a conversation I'd had with Lilith. And I put that on video form, and, I think most people are still stuck with the fact that she doesn't exist when she very much does. And the guy, she goes by the Queen of Heaven. People call her the goddess of the demons. She was Adam's first wife. And she left Adam for Lucifer. People say, where's that in Scripture? Genesis chapter 1. And she had offspring with Lucifer. She's been with him since then. Those two are two peas in a pod. And she was released today. She was released. She had been held in detainment in the lower realm of heaven since last year. Last March, she led a global attempt to try to assassinate me. That failed, and she was held in detainment for that. And so this weekend, on Friday night, there was another global attempt to assassinate me. And I'm not sure who the main leader of that was. But they, I didn't really care. I just went after all the lizards for that one. And so there was a war over the weekend, subduing the lizards and getting them out of here. They've pretty much been stripped of all their power here. They're going to be confined under the earth. A lot of them have been confined on Mars. The ships that were coming in were kicked back out because that regime is just done. It's done. It's done away with. This whole alien New Age agenda, it's just time to rise. And nobody wants any more delays. And so there's been a war. And it's been ongoing against the lizards, but the other side couldn't win without our help. So we stood up to help them because we just want to get the ball rolling. So now Lilith, to top all that off, has been released. And she will take command right now. Satan, Lucifer, is still in detainment. He's been in detainment since last year as well. He was with her. And he'll be released shortly. Now, I don't know how shortly is. When the Father says shortly, that can be 1 day, 6 months. And I was looking at Revelation chapter 12. And the whole thing depicts the Virgo sign. And I think all that comes into play in the constellations this year on September 24th. Now the Father says to watch for signs in the skies, and everybody watches videos all day long. September 24th would be a good date. I'm not saying it is the date. I'm just saying that's interesting. It correlates. Rosh Hashanah this year is September 21st and 22nd. I like the Feast of First Fruits this year. That is in May. And I'm pretty sure Passover this year is in March. And so all of these festivals align. I like the alignments this year a lot because I tend to watch the festivals and the feasts, the appointed times, with everything else that's going on among us. And so far right now, Lilith is out. She's taking command. She'll help the Ashtar, which are her kids, cement their authority and power over the world. She rules from the background. And it's been brutal. I mean, I'll just be frank. It's been brutal. I was laughing because, there was a lot of betrayal last year with some of Lucifer's people. And so now Lilith's getting her vengeance. I was telling the Father, I'm like, who cares? It's just, Lilith beating up reptilians. Who cares, It's brutal. And when he started showing me what was, because there's a fun house under the Vatican. And I reveal all this in my book, Interview with the Devil, and I also have videos on it on my YouTube channel, Sherry Shriner. And I reveal a lot about the Vatican and what really goes on there. And Lucifer has a fun house underneath it. And this is where they pretty much take people to either have fun or torture them. It's going to be one or the other. And so right now, a lot of these leaders of the lizards that didn't have Lucifer's back last year, they're getting tortured. It's vengeance time for, Lilith's going to retaliate for Lucifer. She's going to, like I said, they're two peas in a pod. And so she'll bid her time until he's released. But she is one who commands billions of demons. So they don't need the numbers of the lizards. She is the queen of space. She has millions of alien offspring in space. That's why she calls herself the queen of heaven. People think she's referring to, I don't know, maybe heaven itself. No, heaven is space. And she's actually the mother of space. Billions of them. So, I don't expect any problems with her myself. I think we just kind of mutually part and do our own things. But I think we're going to see the final just get riddance of the lizard regime already, because I know everybody's sick of Soros and all his paid chaos in the streets, and all that's just going to cause delays. Delays. And nobody is in the mood for delays. Nobody's in the mood for Soros. So hopefully all that just gets written out this week. She just gets rid of all the annoyances that are causing delays. And I know he'd be at the top of the list. Jacob Blue would be another one. If I was him, I would be looking for a rock to hide under. They probably already got him. More every which way. Not looking good for him either. The money men who run D.C., put it that way, not looking good for these guys. And this would be under Obama's regime. Because they had a chance. they had a chance to negotiate and get Lucifer out of heaven prison, I guess you could call it, because he's in a lower realm of heaven. He's being detained there, and they had a chance to get him out, and they didn't. And so he's going to get vengeance, and that's going to be Lilith. And, you know, there's no place these people can run. No place. Lilith is multidimensional. She'll find you. Yeah. Say, one minute you're laughing, and the next minute you're just shaking your head, thinking, "Oh man, that's brutal." Because they've got. If you look at the Dark Ages, they had all these different various torture techniques and apparatuses they used to torture people. Lucifer has all that stuff in what he calls his fun house under the Vatican. And he's even taken stuff straight out of hell and mimicked it in his little fun house in the Vatican. And let's not forget, the Pope's exactly not on his friend list right now, and the Pope has 300 cardinals. I wouldn't want to be any of these lizards about right now. Not at Lilith's hands. So yeah, I don't know. I just can't even. I don't even know if I want to go there. Describing what's going on, it's brutal. So right now they pretty much have a choice. A lot of these lizards that were allowed to remain because they're inhabiting humans, and they were given an ultimatum to either go along with the program or get destroyed. So they're going to be forced to either go along and get along or just be destroyed. Basically, all of those who have been detained by the White Hats and the Dragon Societies the last couple of months, they're all going to end up in Lilith's hands. Now they're talking about having all these military tribunal trials and all this crap. I think Lilith's just going to handle them all. I would be surprised if there's any kind of trials and all this crap the New Ages were coming out with last year about how all this stuff's going to go down and disclosure and all that. That may be true with disclosure, but I don't think any of these humans are going to be left alive. They might be cloned. You know, they might clone them before they kill them slowly and torture them to death. Because once they start, they don't stop. I mean, they may just want to torture somebody so they get a message or get the point. But they have a hard time stopping because it's just too much fun for them. You just shake your head. It's like, why do I care? She wants to rip up lizards. I told her to go have fun, you know, have fun. I just don't even know what else to say about it. What I can say about it. All I know is that the sooner the ball gets rolling, the sooner it gets rolling, the better for all of us, because it just gets the ball rolling. We're sick of delays. Delays. Now, one thing I've always mentioned on this show is that they don't want us here when they arrive. They want to pull off their grand New Age event, what they call the event. This is their arrival to Earth. And they don't want us here, the Orgone Warriors. They don't want me here. And so they've been pushing the Father, so to speak, to get his warriors off the Earth. And we're only a handful. That's how funny the whole thing is because we're the I'd say the smallest of any group on Earth, probably, but the most effective for the Father. I know most people, all my haters, they want to laugh and hate on my Orgone, but that was a weapon the Father showed us how to make to destroy Lucifer's strongholds. and we've decimated them with it. We've killed thousands and millions of them. Over 13,000, 14,000 UFOs have crashed just because of our orgone. Tens of millions of aliens have died because of it. And so it's been very effective, our orgone war against them. And they want us off the earth. They want Father out of here before they arrive. And so the sign has always been that I would be removed off the earth. That would be Lucifer's signal that the Father is gone. And so that's what he's been waiting for. That's what they've all been waiting for. And so that's kind of like hanging in the timelines right now. You know, Lilith being released and taking command in the background now, things will get done. Because you don't mess with Lilith. I mean, I'm not a cheerleader. I'm just telling you. She's vicious. She's brutal. Humans are nothing to her. And so she'll handle it until Lucifer's released. And watch her kids take charge now, which is the Ashtar Command, the whole New Age thing. And that's pretty much Eve that runs in the background of all that. That's Eve's deception, being deceived by the light, how all these beings are going to arrive as ascended masters and gurus, and that's all light deception, what they call white, the white part of witchcraft, where there's dark and there's white, I guess. I don't know. Eve takes the more subtle deception side, where Lilith is just outright vulgar witch side. You know, they play they each have their own side that they play. And so I just feel like I'm rambling because nobody believes a word I say anyway. Except for a handful of people. Nobody even believes what I say. Last year I had about 25% of my heart left, and it's probably dwindling. I don't know if I'd get through 2017 or not. I'm about tired of this place. So a lot of fighting going on in the background. You know, I don't know what the point was for Friday night. They had, you know, the Father alerted me in the afternoon, because I think the Chinese were having all these kinds of New Year's celebrations. It was their New Year's or whatever, and they were trying to raise up the energy level all the way around the world so that they could use it to kill me. That's some kind of voodoo technique they use. They tried it last year. I ended up killing my clones. It just pissed me off. That's all they did to me. Yeah, they had clones of me that they had in various places that they would beat up and stuff, whatever kick they get out of that. So they had every sisterhood, all the sisterhood groups, all the brotherhood groups, every secret society meeting around the world Friday for their rituals and chants. And so, yeah, we had some fun destroying all that. And then just using it as a means to retaliate and round them all up. Get rid of the lizards. I'd like to see the cloning centers get shut down. Child trafficking networks get shut down. I'd like to see a lot of their strongholds. A lot of them have already been destroyed. I mean, I was tackling a lot of their bases last year, just one by one, destroying them. And the white hats would be like, "Oh yeah, we destroyed this lizard base." Like, no, I did. You know, I was doing that all year long. I get tired of it. Tired of them. You know, they're going on and on and on about this little remnants of what's left of the old Atlantean base, and that's going to be destroyed next. Watch. It'll be destroyed next. I get tired of the games. So right now, what's happening is Lilith is rounding up people, lizards, reptilians in charge last year underneath Obama's administration that have pissed her off. She's rounding him up, and they're having a little trip to the Vatican. She's taking him to the Vatican. So that's been going on today, probably next couple of days. I was told George Soros was a setup for the Rothschilds. He was just a fall guy. Set him up to be a fall guy. Because he's related to the Rothschilds, and he has money everywhere. He's got money in think tanks and organizations and societies. He builds up economies, tears them down. He starts revolutions. He's like his own CIA. Starts revolutions and persecutions everywhere. In Africa, he was targeting Christians, and he was doing so in the guise of Muslims invading Africa and taking over Christian communities. But the whole thing was to kill off the Christians, what they call candle snuffing. And so he was pretty much doing the same thing here, and he's trying to start up this revolution against Trump now and keep that whole lizard agenda alive. And I just don't think, I think it's time to end Soros' reign of terror in America so we can just get on with this whole Ashtar agenda. This Ashtar agenda is the last regime on Earth. It will usher in the Antichrist and false prophet. You'll see it over the next, couple weeks. Watch Trump, because what he'll do is he'll end the fiat money system we're on and go to gold-back standard. He'll demolish the IRS, and then watch him down the road, because this is where people might think, oh, he's going to be our savior. I don't know what God they're listening to, but he's the leader, the American side of the Ashtar Command for now. Remember back in the day, it was supposed to be Al Gore. Al Gore. Now they were pumping Paul Ryan, and that just wasn't going to fly. Paul Ryan will never ever fly if they're trying to deceive the American people, because Paul Ryan and Mike Pence are baby raping killers, and everybody knows it. And so, if the Chinese are trying to say, because they're the ones really calling the shots behind the scenes, because they're sure they own America now because we defaulted in debt to them. So the Chinese, to their HSBC banks, which is Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank of China, this HSBC, I think you would be pretty shocked if you looked them up online, because they own just about 50% of the banks in America already. If you look at all the chains they own, all the banks they own, every bank in my cow town they own. You can't even go to a cow town and get away from China. They're everywhere. And people say, oh, China will never own America. Really? Take a look at the HSBC-owned banks in your area, or Wells Fargo. That's all China, folks. And so they think they're gonna push this restored agenda, restored republic thing in America, where America is going to go back to its original constitution, and we're going to return to a republic, and our leaders are going to be Mike Pence and Paul Ryan. Really? Baby rapers and killers. And so I think that they're doing away with that one and just going to keep Trump. Because the only thing they got on Trump is the fact that he's had relations with underage girls. Well, I know it's all pathetic and disgusting, but they force all these guys to do that. And as far as I know, Trump has never gone into a My Lab and raped and killed a baby. Where you can look at Paul Ryan's record and Mike Pence, and you're talking hundreds of kids. So Tory Smith revealed all that. He was killed. They shut him up. shortly after he started exposing Mike Pence in Indiana. A month later, he was dead. So they don't shut you up if they're not trying to hide something. So, for all China's wrangling about how they want to make America great again, who does that sound like? They're not going to do it with Pence and Ryan. Ain't going to happen. People aren't going to buy it. And so from what I've heard, they're going to stick with Trump. People seem to like Trump. That's because he's somehow managed to hoodwink the Christian community. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. I guess that the video op, and the photo ops of all those lizard pastors from TBN in there praying for him, that hoodwinks the entire Christian community. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But they all love him. They all think he's God's answer to America. When we're heading into the tribulation period, I don't know how you help these people. I don't even know. I'm just lost. I'm lost. It was easier for me to work in space and get 19 billion of the Watchmen who fell, their offspring, restored back to heaven, than it is to handle the Christianity crowd on Earth. I get nowhere. They're so ingrained with their apostasies. The Father says, lead my people back to me. And so you try to do that, and they spit and hate. That's all they do. They don't want to see the problems. Why they're the Church of Laodicea, the last church in the last days of shows Yahushua standing outside the door. He's not inside that church. He's standing outside the door because he doesn't have any part to do with it. They don't see themselves as that church. So it's amazing. How do you get through to them? So I'm kind of at a crossroads here for the next, I don't know, however long I'm stuck here. We're all stuck here on Earth. Because apparently reaching people isn't getting anywhere. I was going to put out a thing today, getting people prepared for the giants that are coming. Because nothing says welcome like getting hit with a bucket of acid, right? So orgone water to these beings is like acid. It'll kill them. And so if people learn how to make orgone water, you put orgone in a bucket of water, garbage can, and then you use super soakers and water balloons to throw them at the giants, it'll burn them, possibly kill them. So many things are coming. And the Father says everything's going to happen quickly. And at the same time, it just seems like we're in slow motion. We're in slow motion pace. So I guess we just watch for this other regime. They'll use the Paris agreements that Obama cleared. And hidden in that is the gold-backed standard for all nations' currencies that will bring about a global currency reset. I've been warning about that for years. It'll push America's money in the gold standard, and everyone's going to think, yay, yay. But they don't see the downside to it, because what all that did, and I heard it from the horse's mouth himself last year, was by bringing all that about, they got everybody's banking in one computer. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's on the same computer programs now. The entire world's currencies are tied into one computer, so to speak. Everybody's on the same wavelength, same computer programs. Now follow me where this goes, folks. Because you tie everybody's computers into one central banking computer, so to speak, and then you outlaw cash, and you put everything digital, and then with a flip of a button, your accounts can be frozen. With a click, your accounts can be frozen. If you don't have a chip implant, you can't access your money. That's where it's headed, folks. It's headed into digital currency. So all these people waiting and salivating over what they believe is God giving them millions and billions for humanity projects on Earth. There's plenty of Christians hoodwinked over in that crowd as well, because they think God's giving them billions of dollars for humanity projects, because they don't read about the tribulation period either, just like the Christianity ones don't in the Christian churches today, because they would realize we're not heading into a revival, we're heading into the tribulation period. And the leader of Babylon is the Antichrist. Now, like I've said, the United States is going to be destroyed, and the UN is going to take over the United States, and the leader of the UN is basically the leader of Babylon at that point. People don't want to believe that part. Trump is not the long-term answer, because America is going to be destroyed. So you go to a global currency reset, and all that starts with the gold-backed standard currency. We're going to go back to the dollar being backed by gold. And then you go into a digital format. And then you go into enforcing a chip to access your digital format money. Everything's going to be run by computers. They're already chipping people voluntarily now. This is the same chip that Donald Trump owns stock in. You better believe he owns stock in his son-in-law's company. The son-in-law, Jared Kushner, runs a company through Lucent Technologies to implement this RFID 666 chip. So tell me how this isn't connected, folks. They're going to love you all the way to hell. They're going to make you get that chip if you want to access your funds. But all the Christians be jumping up and down, we're not going to be here, because they all think a big rapture is coming to take them off the earth. I've been arguing with them all week. I've been trying to steer people into the truth and get them back to the Father and their Jewish roots. The Father says over and over again in Revelation about people returning to their first love, returning to their roots. Because the apostles never abandoned the law of the Father, the law of the Torah. They always observed it. Today's Christians, for the last 300 years, and this is relatively new, probably since the 1600s, since the KJV came out. Because the KJV came out in 1611, and from that point on, grace replaced everything else. Grace. The law is a curse. The law has been nailed to the cross. Your grace has replaced the law. And they've led thousands of people into apostasy and away from the truth of what Yahushua taught and the apostles taught. And I love it when these refiners people put websites on me out there. It's kind of funny. And they claim that Paul never taught the law, that Paul observed the law, he kept the law, he kept the feasts and the commandments, and they quote Romans, where Paul did. Romans is the only sane book Paul had. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, so if Paul kept the law and observed the feasts and the appointed times with mankind as the apostles did at that time, then why don't the churches today? Because none of them do. They all quote Paul. Paul's grace is having replaced having to follow the law. And you know, the Father says in Proverbs that these people who are lawless, they're Torahless, they're not following His law, even their prayers are an abomination to Him. So how do they figure they're His bride when they're lawless? They're not keeping His laws, His Torah. How do you figure when they're painting Easter eggs and putting up Christmas trees? How do they justify that? And they quote Paul. Really? Because you're sitting here telling me that Paul observed the appointed times and feasts, and then you use Paul to say that Easter's okay and Christmas is okay. Really? And it's all these people that hate the law, think it's been nailed to the cross and done away with, and it's a curse, and they want their Easter eggs and their Christmas trees and their paganisms and their pagan Sabbath. It's all these people that are pounding the drums for a pre-trib rapture. They're going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked to find that they're the ones left behind. Because they always preach, because I grew up in Baptist church, that the ones left behind are the Christians, the people that get saved after the rapture. They're the ones who get saved after it. That's what they tell people. No, that's pretty much the bulk of the bride, because if you read the descriptions of all the different types of believers that exist in the last days, there's only one group that's protected. And it's symbolized by the Church of Philadelphia. They're protected, taken off the earth before the hour of temptation comes upon the whole world. And the hour of temptation is the enforcement of the mark of the beast. So out of 7 different types, only one type is kept and protected during that time. That means the majority of those who think they're believers aren't. They're not. He doesn't take them. He leaves them to be refined. And what's he say? What's his refining? The guillotines. And the Old Testament prophets talk about the FEMA camps. They're rounded up and they're put in FEMA camps. And those who refuse to worship the image of the beast, they face the guillotines. So I try to teach and make people aware and wake them up out of their apostasies, get them back to the Father. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's hard. They hate you. They hate you. I don't want to hear it. Grace. Grace doesn't replace. I made a religion out of the grace. Instead of just going back, go back and research what the early apostles taught. Because Yahushua, which is his real name, it's not Jesus Christ. Yahushua ben David, Yahushua son of David. He did not go to heaven and decide he made a mistake and then raise up Saul Paul through a divine revelation to fight against the other 12 apostles he had just left on earth and begin his own brand of Christianity and religion. Because if you follow Paul in half the New Testament, that's what you have to believe. That's what you have to believe, that he made a mistake and he decided to raise up Paul and change everything. Because that's what Paul did. He changed everything. He changed everything the early Christians believed. But they didn't believe that. They were persecuted and killed for fighting against him. But if you read the early Christian fathers, Tertullian, Marcion, Ignatius, they'll tell you about the wars going on back then between Paul and the early apostles, the 12 apostles. Well, Marcion wanted to get rid of the God of the Old Testament and the 12 apostles and introduce just Paul's books and Paul's new Messiah, in the New Testament. That's pretty much what the churches today have done, don't you think? Don't you think? Get out of Christianity and get back to your roots in Yahushua ben David and the apostles and the gospel they taught. Get back to honoring his appointed feasts and times with mankind. There's not much time left to get it right. We got Passover coming up. It's just effort. Just effort. Study up on Passover. Make a Passover meal with family or friends or by yourself. Ask the Lord what he wants you to do. And just effort. Try something to honor him, to celebrate Passover for the week. It's real easy. You go through the house, Feast of Unleavened Bread, it lasts for 7 days. And you go through the food in the kitchen and you get rid of everything with leaven in it, anything with flour, anything with yeast. You get rid of all that. And you go a week without eating any kind of bread with leaven in it. It's really not that difficult. Even my kids picked that one up. That's the one thing they remember about the most is the week we don't eat bread. It's effort, folks. Get away from your little Easter baskets, your pagan eggs, because you're honoring Lilith with that stuff. She plays the god of Easter. She's Ishtar, the queen of fertility. That's all Lilith worship. Just do something right. Get something right with the time that there's left. Start over. Start over. I was working on this video. I really stink at making videos. I'm just really not very technical at them. I wish I had a producer that could make really cool videos on this stuff. I was working on truth bombs, things that the Father has told me. I'm just putting out a video, shocking truth bombs of the Bible. I don't know. I don't know why I even... My people aren't fooled by anything. The people that have been following this show and been my friends and supporters over the years, you're mountains and mountains ahead of everybody else in knowledge. Just, you can't even compare. Can't even compare. And the whole reason isn't because you've been listening to me. The whole reason is because you love the Lord and you let him teach and lead you. So many people just don't want to do that. So this is basically where we're at, folks. Lilith's been released. She's taking command back of the earth. You're going to see her little Ashtar Command. Alien New Age. More in the forefront now because all the resistance will be done away with. All the lizards will be subdued, taken out of the way, so they can get their agenda going. And that's what they have Trump in office for. Watch him to abolish the Federal Reserve, return the currency back to gold standard. Then he'll implement the Paris Agreement protocol, which makes all banks Basel III compliant, which is being backed by precious metals. That will cause a lot of currencies around the world to increase. People who have been playing the currency markets, buying dongs and dinars and all that, they'll be able to cash them in, exchange them, and make some pretty good money on foreign exchange investments. Will look pretty wildly down the road because, it's not going to mean a hell of beans when they require everyone to get a chip implant to access your bank accounts. Because Christians can't do that. You get that chip implant, you've damned your soul for eternity. You damn your soul for eternity, folks. There's no cutting it out of your hand, second guessing. Bible warns about it. I've got videos up about the 666 chip, Mark of the Beast enforcement. The Bible talks about it in Revelation chapter 13. Also talks about anybody who gets this chip will be cast into the lake of fire. Who's going to be promoting the chip? Donald Trump. His son-in-law owns a company through Lucent Technologies developing the chip. Hello? This is all going to come down the pike pretty quickly, folks. I would be shocked and amazed if the beast enforcement doesn't start in September of this year. I would be amazed. I would be shocked. Now, I know it's not their target year. I know that 2018 is the target year. But I think things are going to speed up and speed along. Just because 2018 was their back-end year doesn't mean they won't start it in 2017. They'll take what they can get. And Lucifer wants out of confinement. He's still in confinement. Now, I've always thought that there would be three groups of people leaving the earth relatively within months of each other. The first group leaving because they're demanded so much. And it kind of works on everybody's timelines that way. It's for the Orgone Warriors to leave. The second group would be those leaving shortly before or after the Sixth Seal. And I always thought the Sixth Seal would occur in May or June. So that always plays along with that First Fruits Festival, Pentecost in May. I like it in May this year because I've always felt the Sixth Seal would take place in May. And then you have that feast this year. First Fruits is in May. And then you have September 24th. You have the Virgo constellation aligning. That kind of co-aligns with Revelation chapter 12 scripture, and I think that's when they'll start the implementation of the Mark of the Beast, and that's when the last group of believers, the Philadelphia church, would be taken off the earth. And so I think there's 3 different departures. I've always said that. I haven't wavered on it. I know people want to hate on me for it because it doesn't fit in anybody else's views. It doesn't fit into the huge pre-trib rapture. It doesn't fit into the post-trib rapture. But that's what the Father has showed me, folks. And so I don't waver at it. When He teaches me something, I don't waver. I don't move on it. So that's why I could go back to my shows in 2005 and find me saying things back then I'm saying today, because the truth is the truth. It doesn't change. The truth doesn't change. It stays the same until it happens. I'm not saying all these groups are going to leave this year. I'm just saying the timeline looks nice. It's looking nice. Minus all the delays we could be facing, which is why nobody wants to deal with the Soros crap anymore and all the delays he's causing. Because everybody just wants to get the show on the road. Get things moving along. Get the GCR moving. Then you'll see the Ashtar event. And folks, just watch out for digital currency. Watch out for the implementation of the Mark of the Beast. I don't think the UN now, because the Grays are going to take over from the Lizards. That's the Ashtar Command. So that could be changing, but I'll talk about that more next week when I know more about what's going on at the UN. Right now, they're just all kind of running from Lilith's vengeance. Anyway, time's up. Time goes quick on this show. Be back next week, everybody. God bless.